It's hypothetical trade season, and the latest one that we've seen since an all-star to the Golden State Warriors. But even if there's a chance it happens, does it make any sense? Plus, Jonathan Kuminga wants the bag. What does he need to do in order to be paid that money? On today's Locked On Dubs.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Holy cannoli, this is crazy.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the good word, everyone? Thanks for spending some of your day with us today. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That is right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Charlie Walter here, riding solo, formerly of 95.7 The Game in San Francisco, also KPIX, which is CBS News Bay Area. Covered the Warriors for a couple of years and saw them win the championship in 21-22 as a reporter for CBS. On today's show, with Steph Curry's performance in the Olympics, is it time for the Warriors to go all in? And a new trade report that comes out sends an all-star to the Golden State Warriors, but does that trade actually make the Dubs better? We'll deep dive into it. Jonathan Kuminga wants a whole lot of money. When will he get that money? Will he get the money? And if he does get said cash, do the Warriors then potentially flip that contract? That's what we're discussing on today's show. Also, some details on Klay Thompson's return to the Bay Area. But let's start with the, I don't want to call it news. I don't want to call it a rumor. I don't want to call it anything more than a proposition. Steph Curry, this is not a rumor, still very, very good at basketball, as displayed by scoring 60 points over his final two games in the Olympics, helping the United States win the gold medal. Did not win the MVP, but I said this on the last show, and I'll proudly flaunt it for the rest of my life. Those MVP moments, the history book pictures, they're going to involve Steph Curry and the outstretched arms of Victor Wembanyama and chucking up a three over two defenders, not necessarily LeBron James powering his way to the bucket. But the Warriors are looking to improve their team still. Said they could potentially go as far as September to make some trades happen, reshuffle some deck chairs, and help Steph Curry get championship number 5. It does sound like the big name all-stars are out of the mix, though. The Brandon Ingrams of the world, the Zach LaVines. We know Lauri Markkanen's off the table. So now you're talking about marginal moves to reshuffle the deck chairs and maybe make this roster make a little more sense. Because as of right now, there's still too many shooting guards, not enough size. Warriors have won without size before. If they want to win this season, it seems like it's going to be the same type of motto. But nothing's set in stone. We've heard Steve Kerr this offseason say that this is the most competition he's ever had from one of his teams. Feels like 1 through 12, I guess 4 through 12 players are going to be fighting for spots left and right. Draymond and Steph Curry are locks into the starting lineup based on everything we've heard, but there are 3 positions up for grabs. And that's when we've reached hypothetical season, where everyone wants Warriors hoops back. And unfortunately, it's not close to being back. So we just talk about a bunch of things that may or may not matter. We come up with random things to talk about, but that is life in the NBA when you're in the middle of August and the Warriors have not really sniffed a move in weeks, it sounds like, because the Lowry thing has been dead for quite some time. But Bleacher Report's Greg Schwartz is proposing a trade. It sends Moses Moody and Andrew Wiggins to the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, here it is. Jeremy Grant in the 3-team deal heads to the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Warriors receive Chris Middleton. Trying to wrap my head around that trade. Middleton just turned 33 on the 12th of August, so a couple days ago. He's a 3-time All-Star, but his last All-Star appearance was in 21-22. And the numbers since confirm that he's on the wrong side of 30. Not only has his points dropped by about 5 points per season, but he's missed significant time due to injury the past 2 years and had surgery on both of his ankles during this offseason. Warriors' 2 missions this offseason were to get a little bigger and to get a little younger, maybe a little faster too, and cheaper. So they had 4 missions. They got younger. Did average 15, 5, and 5 the last 2 seasons. Still a very valuable player. And you're not flipping any draft picks. You're just flipping Moses Moody and getting rid of that contract with Andrew Wiggins in the 3-team deal. They're going to the Blazers, and then Jeremy Grant's going to the Bucks. In that regard, I don't hate it. I don't know if this actually has any legs to it, any validity. If you do flip Wiggins for Middleton, you're probably freeing up the cash to sign Quentin Post. You're freeing up another roster spot. So, Mike Dunleavy, if you're watching right now, would you advocate him to try and propose this deal? Hypothetical season. Does Chris Middleton do anything for you? Because to me, it seems like the Warriors are more than just a Chris Middleton away from winning an NBA championship. You have a better chance of holding on to Andrew Wiggins, hoping that he has a bounce back season to where he's probably pretty comparable as a player to Chris Middleton. Maybe not quite the player Middleton was in his prime, but Middleton's 33 years old, coming off, like I said, ankle surgery on each of his ankles. So how much better truly is Chris Middleton and Andrew Wiggins? Plus you're giving up Moses Moody in that deal. The proof is in the pudding. The tail is in the tapioca that Chris Middleton can be a solid number 2 scorer on a championship team. When the Bucks won the NBA championship, it was Giannis. Chris Middleton was clearly their second best player on that team. But that was how many years ago? 3-4 years ago at this point. I think the Warriors' best chance, and I've said this all offseason, and it's not the clickbaity answer. It's just 1,000% what I believe. Their best chance to compete for an NBA championship this season is to rely on the youth. Hope that Jonathan Kuminga is worth every dollar that he's asking for, which is a lot. We'll tell you about that in just a bit. You hope that Brandon Bajemski can turn into a really good facilitator, can put the ball in the bucket, can give you 15 points, 16 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, something like that. You hope that Trace Jackson-Davis is a pretty solid center, that Steph Curry has a unbelievable season and his usage is up big time. Andrew Wiggins has a bounce back. Buddy Hield thrives in this system, gets open looks and knocks him down at a very high clip in an offense that rewards shooters. Buddy Hield can shoot. Maybe that's a match made in heaven. Kyle Anderson backs up Draymond Green and plays that position to where you have a little more depth at the 4 or the 5. Kevon Looney bounces back. Gary Payton's healthy. Literally everything has to go right. It's kind of my take with how the Warriors compete, because I don't, quite frankly, think they are competitors to win an NBA championship this upcoming season. What I think they are is in a pretty good position to completely avoid a rebuild if they do this thing right. They don't have to rebuild. They can kind of see how this season goes and flip some of their younger assets for a player that inevitably will become available and be a better option than Chris Middleton. Now, would I do the deal? Would I advocate for Mike Dunleavy to look into the deal? Maybe. Actually, what am I talking about? Hell no. He's 33 years old and just had ankle surgery on both his ankles. The last thing you need is someone that's hurt. They say the best player is the player that's on the floor. So doesn't make any sense to me there. Coming up, we're talking about the Golden State Warriors lineups this upcoming season. When predicting a starting 5, if you were to poll 45 people walking down Embarcadero that were in Warriors gear and diehard Warriors fans, I'm pretty sure that you get about 6 different answers, because there doesn't seem to be one that is set in stone. That's what happens when you don't really have a true center. What could the Warriors do? We're discussing on Locked On Warriors. That's coming up. It is that time of the year where the sports just aren't sporting like we want them to. Fortunately, I have FanDuel, and it lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app, and I can dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. So far, so good on the bets I've thrown to you. The last one that I had was Scheffler to win the gold, and boy, did Scotty come through for me on a Sunday. This one, that was plus 300. This one, plus 1,300. Anthony Edwards to win NBA MVP. Do I love it? No. Should you sprinkle something on it? Why not? A little long-term investment. The MVP odds, Luka Doncic is the leader at plus 350. Jokic is second. That's probably your best play at plus 360, but he can't win them all, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's plus 550. Joel Embiid is plus 650. Giannis, another good value play at plus 750. And then my guy, Anthony Edwards, at plus 1,300. Visit FanDuel.com, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. The hypothetical episode continues. Starting lineups. What do they look like this upcoming season? And I say, what do they, not what does it look like? Because you know that the Warriors are going to have many starting lineups throughout the season. You have the load management lineups. You have the lineups when someone inevitably gets injured. You have the lineups when Andrew Wiggins potentially starts playing bad and they bench him to make a point. This is the one that I think is most likely out of the gate. Steph Curry is your starting point guard. Brandon Bajemski is your starting shooting guard. Even though I do like him long-term at the point guard position, based off everything we've heard, it sounds like he is, I don't want to say a lock, considering the Warriors have said that 3 starting positions are up for grabs minus, Draymond and Steph Curry. But based on the curtain being revealed just a bit, it sounds like they're trying to slot Pods into that starting shooting guard position and replace Klay Thompson. I have Wiggins right now at the starting 3, Draymond Green at the 4, and Trace Jackson Davis at the 5. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought I may be an absolute idiot. Because Jonathan Kuminga could be the second best player on this team, and he's not in your starting lineup. That's disrespectful. So I redid it. And this one, all of a sudden, when I throw it out there, I think I'm madly in love with it somewhat. The dark horse starters. Steph Curry is your point guard. I put Pods in the graphic, but that's obviously not Pods. It's DeAnthony Melton. No red curly hair for DeAnthony Melton. But he would be your starting shooting guard in this case. Gives you that long arm, versatile defender up there to go along with Wiggins, who's your 3. Jonathan Kuminga then slots into the power forward position and plays the 4. And then Draymond Green, your starting center. Warriors can do it a lot of different ways this upcoming season. I've talked about how much their role players have defined roles. Like Melton's he's kind of a glue guy. He's good at everything, not great at anything. I think that's a fair way to describe him. His best attribute being his defense, but can shoot it a little, can get out and run and transition, can handle it a little, can, finish at the rim, has good athleticism. So has a little bit of everything. Kyle Anderson doesn't have a little bit of everything. He has no wheels. He has no jump shot, not great touch. What he does have is a nice little turnaround bucket close to the basket. He has great basketball IQ, really good defensive abilities. He's a good passer. And, he's just an old-fashioned slow-mo player that makes the right play and really uses his basketball knowledge and his ability to read defenses to make the most out of not being the most athletic guy on the floor. But it's tough right now with the lineups. It's obviously going to change. Could it change, though, because Jonathan Kuminga is no longer on this team come mid-season? Let's kind of run through the numbers on Kuminga. And this is in no way, shape, or form advocation for saying that Jonathan Kuminga should get traded at the All-Star break. I am just proposing the question during hypothetical season. It's August 13th. But Kuminga started 46 of 74 games last year, upped his points from 10 a game to 16. The splits indicate that with proper usage, he is very effective. Shot at 32% from 3 last year. It's probably his biggest glaring weakness. If he wants to be a star player, he's got to improve that 3-point percentage. Has to improve his playmaking ability aside from when he's in the open floor. When he's in the open floor, when he's downhill, he's as good as anyone in the game. He's a polished product in that regard. But he needs to improve with his just ability to get the ball to him on the wing or get the ball to him on the block and get you a bucket when you need a bucket. But he's really, really good for his age. He's 21 years old. He's entering year 4. I just mentioned he's averaging 16 and 5. Those are good numbers. He's not a project. Potential means you haven't done anything yet. So you can't really tie the word potential onto him. Now you can say he has an enormous ceiling that he has not yet reached. But could he reach it? Even if he doesn't, he is already good for his age, and someone is going to pay him money based on the leaps that he can make and based on the time that he has on his side. He's 21 in the NBA. I mean, he'd still be a senior right now had he decided to go the collegiate route. He's entering the final year of his rookie scale contract as Kuminga. And according to Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports, JK will seek a full max contract for his next deal. So the ball is in his court, it sounds like, because the Warriors aren't paying him anytime soon. They can wait until the offseason, and you know they probably will. They will make sure that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be worth most of this money if they're going to pay him. What they can do is retain his matching rights on any contract in restricted free agency next summer. So obviously they drafted him. They got the matching rights. So they don't have to worry about that. If a team's willing to pay him and they really like Jonathan Kuminga, match it. You're good to go. You have Jonathan Kuminga. They haven't made him available yet. And they've had opportunities to this offseason based on everything we've heard, which makes me think that they believe he's going to be a star or at least great trade bait as this season goes on. Because we talked at the beginning of the show how this roster is not finalized. That's my bold prediction this season that I don't even think is that bold. I think a lot of you would agree with me. This Warriors team is constructed on August 13th is not going to look the same on March 13th. It's just not. We know this. Jonathan Kuminga, though, what does he need to do in order to be paid the max? We talk about that coming up on Locked On Warriors. Based just off that ceiling that he has and the enormous potential to be one of the faces of the game, because he does, and no one else on the Warriors has it. I love Podziemski. I've told you many times how much I believe in Podziemski as a player and that he will, mark my words, will be a future all-star. But a future all-star is a distributor, is a good shooter, pretty good scorer, and a nice complementary piece. Kuminga has the potential to be the face of the franchise, and he's the only player on this team, aside from Steph Curry, that has that potential. I think that's pretty fair to say, right? He also has potential to be someone that never puts the pieces together because there are just glaring weaknesses in his game. What DeAnthony Melton is, I talked about the Swiss Army knife, or the player that's good at everything, not great at anything. The antithesis is Jonathan Kuminga, someone that has clear skill sets in his repertoire that is much better than others. For example, not a great shooter. We mentioned the numbers, 32% last season from three. But in transition, I think his dunk rate per 14 minutes or something like that was second to Anthony Edwards in the league. Don't quote me on it, but he's up there. He could throw down, could cram it. Scotty Barnes and Franz Wagner, Barnes of the Raptors and Franz of the Orlando Magic, put pen to paper on a 5-year, $224 million deal. So it's expected that Kuminga will ask for something more than $30 million per year. And Kuminga wants the max deal, which is a whole lot of money. But $30 million per year is probably the starting point for Jonathan Kuminga as of this current day. It can obviously go up. It can go down, depending on how he plays this season. Because the word potential can only get you so far. However, being good in the league and being a proven, reliable scorer and someone that shows capabilities defensively in the league is going to get you paid something. Maybe not max money, but someone is paying Jonathan Kuminga a large sum of cash. 5 years, $224 million, which Barnes and Franz Wagner got. Here's the deal in the NBA. If you're a good player, you're going to make a lot of money. And if the Warriors believe that Jonathan Kuminga is that dude, even if he doesn't show it this upcoming season, you pay him. You probably pay him. How much? That's where it gets a little dicey. And what do you need to see from Jonathan Kuminga this year to be convinced that he is the future? To me, improve the three-point game. We've seen him working on it this offseason. Get it up to 35, 36%. All right, I'm happy with that. Consistency on defense. That's the number one thing to me. Defense and rebounding. The hustle plays and the motor and just IQ moments. Those three things. Hustle, IQ, and consistency. If I see those three things, he's absolutely the guy moving forward. What I'm not looking at is stats this upcoming season. I don't care if he scores 26. That would be pretty nice. I don't care if he scores 22 or 18. That's not the big deal to me. It's the eye test. It's opening up the eyeballs and making sure that Kuminga is someone that you can rely on moving forward. More so than just throwing it down 5 times a game, giving you highlight dunks, finishing as he attacks the bucket and gets downhill. I want to see more than that. The eye test needs to show me, not the box score, but the eye test, that he is someone that's capable of taking over games when Steph Curry's not on the floor and he's out for load management games. You get Kuminga the ball late in the game and he's your guy to get you a bucket. If he's someone that can do that and show that he can do it consistently, yeah, you're absolutely going to pay him. But the smartest thing to do is wait and see mode. That's kind of what I think this entire year is. Wait and see mode. You know, go out there, play the first 2-3 months of the season, see what you have, see if you can compete in the in-season tournament. And then once that time comes, NBA trade deadline, if you don't have what it takes, if you're completely in shambles, then you talk about gutting the entire thing. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is a team that's going to go over their win total of 43.5 games this season and be highly competitive, at least to make the playoffs and avoid the play-in. Championship contender, I don't know. I think they need to make moves during the season unless, like I said earlier, a whole bunch of things go right. But the in-season trades that the Warriors could potentially make instead of paying Jonathan Kuminga. This one is interesting. The Warriors received Jarrett Allen from the Cleveland Cavaliers, who just signed a 3-year, $91 million extension. However, that was more for some optionality when it does come to the deadline, because they have a lot of money tied up in Mobley. They have a lot of money tied up in Donovan Mitchell. They have their squad set. And Jarrett Allen seems to be the most expendable of the bunch. However, this says Nets. The Cavs would receive Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and a first-round pick. Warriors would get Jarrett Allen in return. Do you like that, potentially, as a Warriors fan? Everyone's always asking Dunleavy and company, Bob Myers, when he was here, go out and get some size, will you? And the Warriors just refuse to do it. And then they go out and try to get some size with the second pick and James Wiseman, and it does not work out whatsoever. But that's one trade where you get rid of Jonathan Kuminga. And then the other one is the Warriors get Nick Claxton. They get Claxton, and the Nets get Kuminga, Wiggins, and a first-round pick. Seems like a lot to get Claxton, who's someone that, you know, is a double-double machine, put up 11 and 10, block a couple shots a game, really good defensively. But like Jarrett Allen, it's tough to play both with Draymond Green at the same time. We'll clog up the floor just a little bit. But it is interesting to kind of see the things that the Warriors can do during the season. But to me, the best start that they can have this season is just to ride with what they got minus some marginal moves. I still think Moses Moody is going to be shipped out at some point for a different player. I don't know who it is. I don't think it'll be the Moody and Wiggins deal for Chris Middleton. But I do think that Moses Moody, out of all players, just because of the lack of playing time he's received the last few seasons, the DNPs that didn't make sense, and then the reports that this offseason he was actually offered in that deal to bring back Lauri Markkanen with the picks, makes me think that if the Warriors were to move anyone, obviously Wiggins makes sense because of that contract, but Moses Moody would be right up there with him. So maybe they do move them both for Chris Middleton. We'll see. But it does get you excited. You know, if the Warriors can hang around long enough, you got those assets. Got those assets, and you can start calling other teams, see which stars start making some public statements or some I guess, behind the scenes, what do you even call them? The phantom statements on Twitter, where they actually don't say anything, but they propose that they're unhappy somewhat. Klay Thompson coming back to the Bay, his first time. That is November 12th. The Mavericks come to Chase Center. That game is on TNT. It is the NBA Cup Group Play opening game, and they gave us a good one. Klay returning, November 12th. The Warriors Group Play consists of the Grizzlies at Chase Center, and then they visit the New Orleans Pelicans in a road game with the Denver Nuggets. But that's exciting, man. Klay Thompson coming back November 12th. All right, that's a show. Hypothetical season, where we throw out a bunch of things that may have no validity to them, but you know the old saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. And some of these do seem to at least make a little sense to entertain. Will they? We'll see. Leave in the comments if any of those spark your interest. If Chris Middleton of the Warriors makes them better at all, because they would lose Wiggins and Moody in the process. And leave a comment, quite frankly, where you're listening from. Because I see in the analytics that there's a lot of our friends from the Philippines listening and a lot of our friends from the Bay Area listening. So you listening in the East Bay, you listening from Redwood City, you listening from San Jose, you listening from the North Bay, you up in wine country, sipping on a little Pinot. Let us know. We appreciate the community. And like and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Peace, everyone.